I don't think Jews built the pyramids. Jews built cities, storehouses, commercial buildings, and then watched as the Egyptians knocked it down because they didn't need it. That's called mental cruelty on top of the slavery. This week's Torah portion is called Boy, where God tells Moshe, go to Pharaoh and let's get tough. The first plagues didn't impress him. We got to be a little more impressive. If you don't know the Hebrew, you miss out a lot. Because the Hebrew word boy doesn't mean go. It means come. Come to Pharaoh. And you can kind of justify the use of the word. You're going to come into his palace. You're going to come into his room. So you can say, come to Pharaoh. But that's not really the right word. It should be go. Come to Pharaoh actually means, I'm coming with you. Let's go. So when you want to say let's go, you say come. Even in English. Come, we'll go. So God is saying, when I send you to Pharaoh, I don't sit here in heaven waiting for you to come back. I go with you. So let's go to Pharaoh. Because really what was at stake was God himself. To convince Pharaoh that when God speaks, you listen. So God was very involved, very much committed. What is the expression? He had a horse in the race. And so he says, come. Which tells us that any time God sends us on a mission, and life is a mission, God goes with you. And somebody once asked me, I did something really bad. Is God going to send me to hell? Never heard anyone put it quite that way. Send me to hell. I thought that doesn't make sense. God really can't send you anywhere because he's everywhere. God can't say, go, I'll meet you back here. It's like, you go, I'm not going. God is everywhere. How do you go from God? So really, God is going with you. So if you did something really, really bad and God has to send you to hell, he's got to go with you. And that's what's so terrible about it. Person goes to hell, okay. He'll learn from the experience. But why are you dragging God with you? Anyway, God hardens Pharaoh's heart. That doesn't sound very fair at all. God hardens his heart and then punishes him for being stubborn? No, stubborn is not a sin. And he wasn't punished for being stubborn. He was punished for the enjoyment of enslaving people. Now, after 3 or 4 plagues, you would think that that would soften the pleasure. Maybe it's not pleasurable enough to put up with all this pain. So God said, no, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let him free the people in order to avoid the pain. He's got to admit that enslaving people is wrong and that not obeying God is wrong, not just painful. So what does it mean he hardened Pharaoh's heart? Not to make him refuse to let the Jews go. He hardened his heart so that he not be impressed by the plague. If you're not impressed by the plague, you're still your old self. Will you or won't you let the people go? And he won't, because that's what he is. That was not imposed on him by the hardening of the heart. Which tells us something really important. If we want to do tshuva, if we want to repent for a sin, we want to express genuine, sincere regret. And why are we regretting? Because we got ourselves into so much trouble. I wasn't faithful to my marriage. The whole thing blew up. Now my whole family is against me. I'm going to end up with no one and nothing on my own. I regret this. Not yet perfect. You're regretting because of pain. Tshuva means you're regretting because the damage to the relationship is wrong. In other words, the regret has to be for the sin, not for the consequence. Like if you steal $50 billion from people and then you regret it because you're in jail. What are you regretting exactly? The stealing or the getting caught? Even if you regret the stealing because you got caught, it's not the real thing yet. Real regret means what I did was wrong, just plain wrong, even if I hadn't gotten caught, even if there was no pain, no consequence, other than I violated a relationship. God said, I will take care of you, I will keep you, I will protect you, I will provide for you, and you will do the mitzvah for me. And I didn't. That's wrong. So God was saying Pharaoh has to repent his sin, but you repent because of pain and plagues, you're not really repenting the sin. So we see that after the 8th plague, Pharaoh actually says, God is right, I've been wrong, or we have been wrong. So it worked. One final thought about this whole idea, the Exodus is an incredible event, obviously. We're still talking about it 3,000 years later. That was followed by the splitting of the sea, another incredible event. We're still talking about it 3,000 years later. We celebrate every year Passover, celebrating the Exodus. The 7th day of Passover, we celebrate the splitting of the sea. These events are alive and well 3,000 years later. Why? It was a great, really helpful development for the Jewish people, but that was then. It's done. Came out of Egypt 3,000 years ago, haven't built a pyramid since. I don't think Jews built the pyramids. Jews built cities, storehouses, commercial buildings, and then watched as the Egyptians knocked it down because they didn't need it. That's called mental cruelty on top of the slavery. But we haven't been slaves in 3,000 years. Do we still have to celebrate that event? I mean, we're going to celebrate this forever? It was a great event. Thank you very much. We've thanked you for 3,000 years. Also, it's very strange that we talk about, God is so good to his people. Hey, he took them out of Egypt. You have nothing more recent to refer to? But do you keep going back to that event? Enough already. Like my non-Jewish neighbor said when I was getting ready for Pesach, changing the kitchen, he says, it was 3,000 years ago. Get over it. Yeah, get over it. Of course, we can get over the miracle. We can get over the freedom newly gained, the exhilaration, the relief. Yeah, you get over that. What we can't get over, what we shouldn't get over, which we will never get over, is that God reached out to us, not the other way around. Jews didn't suddenly become religious and faithful and believers and pray to God for freedom. No, on the contrary. Moshe comes to the Jewish people and they were not convinced that freedom was really an option. Moshe was a pretty impressive guy, and he couldn't convince them. What can't we get over? We were really not in good shape religiously, and God comes and takes us out of Egypt and says, you need some spiritual training. That's what happens at Mount Sinai, so meet me there and we'll work it out. So we needed to become godly, and yet God reaches out to us. That we should never get over. And in fact, that's what it means, the God of Israel. How do we refer to God as the God of a certain people when he is the God of the whole universe? He is the creator of the whole universe, of course. But who does he speak to? Who does he take out of Egypt, bring to Mount Sinai, and give commandments to? To his people. Yes, it's meant for the entire world, and we have to share this information and this knowledge and this. Yeah, okay. But who stood at Mount Sinai? The Jewish people. And so calling God the God of Israel is a correct description. We're not referring to the country of Israel, we're referring to the people of Israel, children of Israel. As God refers to them in hundreds of times. Speak to the children of Israel. So yes, there's a relationship there. So what can't we get over? God initiated the relationship. Why would we ever get over that? Particularly when we recognize that we're not very good at this. We're in a relationship with God. We're not good at it. We question and we doubt and we rebel. So maybe he changed his mind. Maybe if we don't behave properly and we don't reach out to him properly, then the relationship suffers. So the Torah is telling us, no, that's not how it works. God isn't waiting for you to deserve or to be good at it. He, on his own initiative, came to take you out of Egypt. And so even when you fail him, the relationship does not change for him. He still wants the relationship. He's still reaching out to you. Nothing will change. Because when God does something, it's forever and ever and ever. That's a pretty intense experience. Why would we get over that? That's what kept us going. As we say in the Haggadah, it wasn't only Pharaoh who tried to destroy us. Every generation, there's something going on. What do we rely on? Where do we get our confidence from? From the fact that God came and initiated the relationship. If He wants the relationship, then we can trust that it will remain forever. If it's up to us, we could blow it. And that's why we're called the chosen people, not the choosers. We didn't choose. We were chosen. Oh, what are you going to do about that? So if you're chosen and you mess up, does that change your chosenness? No. The only way chosenness can get messed up is if the one who chooses messes up. So if God chooses, it's forever. So being chosen means we have no choice. The choice has already been made. We are God's people. We have to bring God's message to the world, and you cannot sin your way out. So no, I'm not your messenger anymore. Look, I eat non-kosher food. See that? I'm out. No, you're not out. So if you can't undo it, then you have only one option. Be good at it. So if you're chosen, you've got only one possibility. Get better at it. At whatever you're chosen for. Stop trying to hide. Stop trying to run away. Stop trying to deny. Stop trying to... Who was that character in MASH who pretended to be a woman so he could get out of the military service? Never worked, did it? You can't get out. You're chosen. Be a good chosen. That's your only option. We have a Sunday night program for VIPs that you might be interested in. It's informal. It's questions and answers. It's conversation. It's really relaxed. It's really pleasant, enjoyable, informative, and kind of community-like. It's a Sunday night program. There's a Wednesday morning program for the VIPs, and there's a Wednesday night program. All of it just conversation, casual, laid back, unscripted. So join us. Take a look. Click the link below and see which of the three suits you best, and join us for some enjoyable conversation.